improvisational actor is probably the best thing I can come up with. You know, you have to be able to think on your feet and, you know, like I say, respond to the crowd and influence them in the way that you want, you know.
I got into magic when I was quite young, so I was always fascinated by the sort of, I guess, presenting something to an audience where they know it's not real, but they don't know how it's done, and that sort of, you know, the stage illusion aspect of things.
I genuinely don't think there's like a bigger like thrill or like a bigger rush than when you go out and perform. As daft as it sounds, I think it's one of those things where you do have to do it to get it. Like it's one that you just can't explain it to people.
It's like theatre on steroids, really. It's the best way of putting it.
So many people, it pisses me off. People are like, oh, do you do it because you just want to roll around with like hot, sweaty men?
Oh, are you gay? Is it all about gay sports, touching people up in tight? And I was like, no, shut up.
It's telling a story. It's telling a story of a fight between two people within the confines of some rules that have been set by a promoter or whatever. But you know, it's a story that's being told. Good and evil fighting each other out.
It's our job, from the moment when I walk in the building, to suspend their disbelief, and that's the illusion you've got to make them feel. The job's an illusion.
You might be able to take liberties with a young local lad, but I'd have you back here, Murphy, right in front of this crowd, our hometown, Gloucester.
Tough match, wasn't it? Skull Murphy. Toughest wrestler in the world, isn't he? I told you, very tough man. Very tough man, but I'll go on with him again.
When I was about 15, I saw a match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. That was WrestleMania 12. In the Iron Man match, and I saw Shawn Michaels win the title, and I thought this is what I want to do for a living, because Shawn was a smaller guy than Hulk Hogan. They were smaller, sort of smaller, normal, averagely built guys. I thought, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it too, and that's really when I started going for it. Pretty crazy, eh? And I got my new stuff, which I had done about like last year sometime. I had Shawn Michaels sort of tights done, but I did the mat on it. I knew I couldn't get done for copywriting because I'm a different colour to Shawn Michaels, you know what I mean? So he can't really come after me, can he?
When he was little, he was very, very nice, but then he got to 12 and he started to be a pain. Always getting into trouble, always fighting. One time I had to walk him to school for 13 weeks because he would fight anybody on the street, and he just got into trouble, really. Always in trouble with the police, in and out of court. And then the last time he hit this boy, he went to court, and I said to him, if you don't back up your ideas, you're going down the wrong road. And then we found wrestling, and that was the making of Matthew.
I just love fighting. Fighting's I was just a troubled kid, you know. I didn't like school, I hated everything it represented. And it just seemed the ideal profession for somebody who likes getting beaten up and beating people up. It's just a great way of getting into trouble, but doing it legally. I mean, I used to go and watch the guys years ago, you know, back in the days of World of Sport. I used to go and watch the guys, and they were like my heroes. You know, they always were. I guess some kids, it's like Marvel comics or whatever, you know. For me, the guys of the wrestling were like mysterious, and there was something about them that I wanted to be.
My father was a wrestler, that's why I'm in this business. I was sort of nurtured into it. Maybe forced. Maybe I didn't know I was being forced, but I was surrounded by wrestlers all the time. People, you know, wrestlers come to my house, my father's house. My mother was involved in it. She helped run in the business. My sister was involved in it eventually. My aunts and uncles, and you know, it was a family business. So I loved it, loved being around it, loved, you know, everything about being around a wrestling or a wrestling ring is just like, you know, it's like, to me, it's like going to Disneyland.
My dad was very good at rugby, and I kind of got put into the rugby side of sport and played rugby for a while. I did a lot of judo, really enjoyed my judo. And then from judo I went into wrestling. I had some friends that were wrestling fans, and they used to wrestle in one of the barns on their farm on some hay bales and some old tyres and stuff. You know, I'm not aggressive really, and I don't like fighting. I'm not the kind of guy who goes out on a Saturday night and looks for fights. So wrestling was great because I could use all my grappling skills, my judo skills, take down some submissions, and do it in a more controlled environment. And I did a lot of acting as a kid, a lot of drama, so you kind of incorporated everything that I was doing at the time.
Making his way to the ring, he is the star of Take Me Out. This is Marty Scurll!
I guess it's, you know, it's escapism for most people. I used to see my dad sort of maybe once every 2 months, and even then, like, he didn't really, like, we would get on now and stuff, but like, we didn't really, he never really did anything with me. Like, he was a property developer, so he was always busy, kind of just left me to me and my older brother to our own accord, so we didn't really have much of a bond, so I didn't really have any sort of male role model in my life. I always remember thinking this, like, obviously the wrestlers are huge guys and stuff, but that didn't even click in my head that they were massive, really muscly. I just thought all men looked like that, because I'd never seen a man really, like, there was no really men in my life as a kid. It was just my mother, you know, and my aunties and stuff. And so I guess I looked up to those guys definitely straight away. You know what I mean? Like guys like Bret Hart and Hogan and stuff, and Warrior. They were the guys I looked up to because I didn't really have any male role models, you know. So I was instantly going to be like them. You know, kids usually want to be like their dad. I didn't, but I wanted to be like these wrestlers. So it was maybe that's why I wanted to do it so badly. I guess maybe.
Said I would start wrestling. I thought I was going to do some wrestling to my dad. They didn't like it very much. You know, I don't think any parents like their children wrestling. It's a dangerous sport. It's not ideal, and the money you get in this country at the start is not good money. Well, you know, it's very difficult to get good money anyway at the moment in this country, unfortunately, because the wrestling scene isn't at the level where they can afford to pay you high wages. So it's kind of, you know, you see your son or daughter getting thrown around, often coming back with injuries and not really getting what they deserve for it.
Yeah, my mum, I don't know if she gets it. Like, I think she always thought I'd grow out of it. Even when I started training, when I started doing it.
I never thought that he would do anything like that, because I mean he was a tough cookie at school, and I really had it hard with Matthew, believe me. But when I first saw him get in that ring, and I thought, yeah, that's my boy there.
Didn't go over well. Never does. Mum's more worried about, she sees something on videotape and I'm saying, oh, watch this. She knows I'm home, so she's happy, as all mums are, and if not, there you go. My dad just, oh well. He weren't bothered from the beginning, but he started getting more bothered when he saw me in the newspaper, saw me on telly, saw me on DVDs, stuff like that. When his mates start coming over to him at the pub, like, just saw your lad in the paper. Brilliant, that is. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, that's great. You know, so.
We're wrestling, like, we don't make loads of money, so like sometimes I'm skint and she gets fed up with me, do you know what I mean? So, but I think, in my mind, I feel like I will make a lot of money from wrestling, so I think after that she'd be proud of me. Hopefully. I think she still is a bit. She just thinks I'm a good wrestler. She said that before.
So I was invited, great word that, invited to go to this wrestling school. It was a proper wrestling club, it wasn't a school, out on the outskirts of Liverpool, and I still play football for the local club team on a Sunday. I went up there in my football kit, and to this day, it's the longest 3 minutes of my life, to this day.
Well, don't let anybody kid you. In them days and our sort of wrestling, you do hurt people. You know, there's a lot of showmanship in, but you do hurt. But I do anyhow. But I'd really hurt him. And boy, when he got up, did he hurt me. He got hold of me and he got me in an headlock and took me down. He said, "You stole my ribs in. You stole my ribs in." And he was going like that. He must have done it about 6 times, and I really thought my neck was going to snap. You know, lights was going round and everything. And I was just beginning to wonder, am I in the right business? Like, you know. I went on with a fellow called Carl McGrath, and I think if David Attenborough was there, he could have commentated a lot better, because it was like a sort of mammal against an amphibian or something like that. He just sort of hooked in on me and just like, I felt pain that I never thought I had a body part there before. Any normal person would have run out the room and that would have been it, but I just had this sort of thing that I thought, they're taking the mickey out of me.
So I came back the following week, and they'd done it for 4 weeks on the trot, and I paid money to do that, you know. But after the 4 weeks, they started showing me things, and that was the foundation of how I got personally involved in it.
It was a little bit of a what I call a closed shop. You had a job getting into professional wrestling then. There was a tight-knit circle, and you had to show them that you could do the job. And when you went in there, there was a lot of people wanting to knock you about, you know, so that you went, because you're taking wages from them, you see, you know.
The general consensus said, "You're trying to take the bread and butter off my family's table, aren't you?" It was like a scene from Kes.
When I first started in the business, you know, I wasn't even allowed in the change room. The old pros wouldn't even allow me in the change room. I had to get changed in the hallway. You know, that's how strict the business was to try and get into then. Nowadays, you buy yourself a pair of boots, you're in the ring, you know.
It was character building. If I could go back now, I wouldn't change it. You know, I got the bits ripped out of me every single night, and I'd go back to Liverpool, and there was no sympathy. Mentally and physically, it was the hardest time of my life, bar none.
Good luck, well done.
Well, now you can open your own wrestling school, and no one will, you know, you can just say DWA, Doncaster Wrestling Associate, and it's all done. The thing that really gets my goat up is that people are immensely inspired and immensely influenced by what goes on in America and Japan. Unfortunately, they try and wrestle in that direction, and I don't get it.
Inside information has been given, and now that person that has that information shouldn't have it and thinks that they can execute what these wrestlers can do, and therefore they're not trained right. They have no respect for the history of the business or the history of the people in it who have paved the way. So they don't know all these guys, they don't know the people who bust their backsides and, you know, sacrifice their families to earn their money and make the business what it is or what it was.
We ain't got nobody to go to. Like the veterans we do have, we rarely see, they're rarely about, and we're learning off each other, which means we aren't really learning shit, because we haven't got a Dave Finlay to go to and say, "Sir, can sit in the car with and just sponge information," or you want to be with them all the time. And the amount of things like you learn off Frankie and Robbie Brookside and people like that, but there isn't one of them in every car in the country where there could be in America. And the problem that we're learning off each other means we're probably learning off what's wrong, or elements of what are right and wrong. What I might tell someone could be my opinion at how I've been trained, but it's probably totally different to a veteran, which means that what I'm telling them is, that's why I'll never open a training school. I don't know shit. Dave Finlay should open a training school, and these people that have done something in the business and making money still should be opening training schools. I shouldn't.
I've come over here a few times and gone to training school. There's one in Hull, one in Swindon, and I did one in Norwich. They don't even know the basics, because humans don't want to learn it. They don't want to learn how to wrestle. You know what I mean? They don't want to learn the basics. They want to start jumping on the top rope and all this. Well, unfortunately, you can't do that for 20 minutes. You've got to be able to wrestle.
But yeah, it's totally different. I mean, nowadays, there was a lot of gymnastics involved then, but the guys were smart, you know. They were wrestling every night of the week, and you had no choice but to learn this business and to learn it from the ground up.
For me, I really believe that we've lost our identity as regards going back the old ways. I'm not saying we need to go back, but just the style. If you can get in the ring and fight, you know, like have a go and get stuck in, not go, you've got to, or preempting or prompting anyone. Get in there for 20 minutes and just wrestle. Don't punch, don't kick, just wrestle. I think that should be the benchmark for anyone coming in the job.
That psychology for them is do as much as they can. Do as much stuff as you can. What's wrong? My book, it's do as little as you can. Do as little as you can for maximum heat. You know what I mean? You can get heat just by going like that. You know what I mean? I go to the ring at States and just stand there like that. They go berserk. I'm not doing anything. Renier Lazartes used to go to the ring and go like that. Push his arms up like that. Got more heat than you've ever seen in your life. You know, they think it's a dance now. They treat it as a dance. If you see something, they throw each other like this. It's like a dance. That's why nobody believes it anymore. You know. You know, when you're watching a movie and somebody gets shot, they're not really dead, but you believe it at the time, don't you? And when people leave in wrestling, they'll say, well, we know it's not real, but it were good. You know what I mean? That's the difference now. They think they're just entertaining. You're entertaining, but you've got to make it look like it's real, like you're trying to beat somebody up.
When we go out there and we're hitting each other hard, we're hitting each other hard to make the... We're doing it, and we are getting hurt, and it is real, but we're doing it because we know the other can take it. Like, I wouldn't hit him and not expect to get it back. So I hit him hard, I'm gonna get hit back, and it's just because we got so comfortable with each other now. We can do that. And that's the signal for, like, all right, it's on.
Nowadays, well, half of them couldn't beat anything up, could they? You know what I mean? Look, if they weigh 6 stone, half of them, you know.
I would love to do that style of wrestling. Unfortunately, I'm very short and I have no muscles, so I have to make up for that in other areas. Which is how I got into the sort of hardcore kind of sort of deathmatch wrestling kind of route. And that to me sort of like took professional wrestling to the next level. It's kind of like a stunt show as well as, you know, competitive sort of fight. And we started doing sort of hardcore wrestling and people were like, oh, who wants to do this? And I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go. And it sort of just escalated from there. It's kind of like, who wants to be set on fire? Yeah, I'll do that. Who wants to do drawing pins? Yeah, I'll do that. No, it wasn't too bad. Barbed wire? That's not too bad. Set on fire? That's all right, actually. Light tubes? Well, it stings a bit, but, you know, it's all right.
I did 10 minutes of wrestling with Colt Cabana. They got a standing ovation at the end. Standing ovation. And these silly bastards are cutting each other's heads off.
Like, world of sport is dead, in my opinion. You got to go with the times. That's simple as that, and it's quite boring, in my opinion, anyway.
So, if you say to 95% of kids, like, would you rather see, for example, Matt Morgan, or would you rather see, I don't know, an old world of sport legend? 95% of them are going to say, I want to see Matt Morgan, because they know who he is.
I know it's a bad thing to say, because I do respect all the guys who have done it, but, you know, the British wrestling in general needs to take a new direction, and a lot of promotions do the same things now, and we try and do something different, and, you know, we get good feedback from our fans saying we are doing something different.
Are these them?
A pack of them, yeah.
Is this them, innit?
Yeah, but look, this is a pack of...
How many's in there?
Fuck, it's heavy, you know. Here's the big boys, bro. £7 each.
We only want those. Cute. There's ones here, but they've only got 2, dude.
How much are those? Can you get those
£4.
Don't break it.
Staple gun. I'm going to get a staple gun.
You want the barbed wire on? Or something. And staple it to it, Ash. See? Or this to get smashed over someone's head. Someone get land on the table. Yeah, I'll go through that. This would be a lot better noise-wise and stuff for that.
We're gonna fit it in the car.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, that's it. Is that right?
Does that matter? We're getting a fresh one, innit? Get a fresh one.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a staple gun and barbed wire from that.
But they ain't got barbed wire. We'll get a staple gun, but they ain't got barbed wire.
Don't try this at home. Trying to take him and choke down through a match table, make one of those up really strong for the bomb. Holy shit. Do you get what I mean? Excuse me, mate, it's not barbed wire at all. Oh, holy. Ooh!
career.
I say we attach it to a baseball bat. Oh, Ashcon.
Oh, have you? Shall I just get a decorating table for Spud and Tiny's match? Oh, I don't. Like the ring.
At the time, like, you don't really feel it. At the time, you've got a lot of adrenaline going through you, and there's a lot of stuff running through your head. And me personally, I just sort of block it out, like just ignore it. Really, there is some stuff that I do that I think, not doing that again. Well, that hurt. Like we've done very stupid. I don't know why I've done this, but I got thrown through light tubes. Fair enough. Then we got lemon juice, sprayed it all over my back. Really regret that one. That one. See, I'll say never do it again, but I reckon I'll do that again at some point. But it's not the end of the world. I'm okay. So we'll go on my back. And most of them are light tubes. It looks worse than it is. It's very much surface wounds. Like I've never been seriously injured to the point I've had to go to hospital. Touch wood. It hurts, it stings, and the next morning, yeah, I do have to put plaster on it and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not really that bad.
Oh my God!
Jimmy,
Yeah.
Throw it down.
Holly, is Michael right?
He's broken his nose.
Yeah.
His nose is already broken before. It's not too bad.
Oh, right. Sorry about the first kick, man. You alright?
Yeah.
You okay, Jimmy? Yeah, fine. Yeah, sure. Sorry. You alright? Sure. And then do it up?
It's alright.
Sorry. Cool,
It's not the first time I've had a broken nose.
Deathmatch wrestling is my favourite type of wrestling to watch.
I feel like I do this more backstage than anything else, just taking photos of Jim bleeding.
That was the first death match I've done, and I mean, obviously the other matches that I've done is wrestling. You know, it's more toward, you know, suplexes, submission holds, wrestling manoeuvres, whereas this is obviously hitting each other with broken glass and barbed wire.
Yeah, it's always a big risk, no matter what match you're doing, but obviously a death match is that much more.
Part of life, and you're going to get used to being hurt, because it hurts. It don't hurt you when you're young, it'll hurt you when you start getting a bit older.
I would have been about 13, 12. It's been a long time, and I was really young when I started. So yeah, it was. I shouldn't have really started as young because I'm like kind of feeling it nowadays. But yeah,
I've got so many like little niggling injuries all over me, and it's just like some mornings, and every wrestler will say this: it's hard to get out of bed. Like, and then I had a painkiller addiction at one point, and that was really awful. So you just got to be really careful, man. It really, really fucks your body, and I get headaches out of nowhere and stuff, like concussions you can get and shit like that. It's just, for those 10 minutes that you're in the ring, it's fucking amazing, and maybe the 10 minutes after, but then you've got this whole other life that you have to live that is just constantly hobbling around or like trying to stretch out these injuries and stuff, like, or just, you'll see everyone do it, man, just kind of going like, oh yeah, that's tweaked or some shit like that.
I've had my leg broken, this leg, and I've had my ribs broken, collarbone, I'm deaf, I had to wear this, you know, all through wrestling, you know. I've had my nose broken, but that was boxing. Scars on my eyes, that's through wrestling.
And I didn't know it, but I'd advanced degenerative spinal arthritis, spondylitis in my neck, carpal tunnel syndrome in my hands, Raynaud's phenomenon, which makes my hands go cold and funny colours and stuff in my feet. But unaware of that, I was thinking, it's not a bit of stiffness, and to train every day with weights and stuff. I was thinking, a good workout last night, a bit stiff today, on my back, or took a bump last night, and getting a bit older, so you think honestly didn't know anything wrong with me.
Oh, there was this guy, I'm not going to name names, he got me up for the gorilla press, threw me outside to two big guys, completely missed them. One grabbed my ankle, which turned me around, and I fell straight on my neck. And like they said, I was lucky for not breaking my neck. And I had 4 X-rays on my neck just to make sure like everything's fine. After I got out of the hospital, about 4 weeks it took me to get like proper better and stuff. But now I'm still feeling the effect because my neck's screwed. I'm gonna have to like get it sorted or something. But nah.
Well, when I started back for WWE, I was only back second match back. Me Regal against Tatanka and Bobby Lashley. All I did was that. In cartilage gone. Surgery on it. Back 3 week off. I bluffed my way through. I said I'm ready to go back. So I was on a trip to Portugal. Went to do a SmackDown before we left for Portugal. Did SmackDown. Brian London and Spanky. Working with them, baseball slid and broke my fucking ribs. So I've got a limp and a broken rib. But I couldn't sell.
It was scary. It was like all I can remember is getting picked up like that, and then that's all. I had to watch it back just to know what happened. It's scary stuff.
I took a bump the other day and my right glute kind of pulled, and I was like, oh, this is during this workshop. Not again. But it was just another thing, another injury, and you kind of get used to it. I kind of hyperextended this elbow for about 6 months now. It hasn't really kind of got any better, and I just have such a list of little nagging injuries that there's no point going to the doctors because it would take fucking forever.
I went to Portugal, 10-day tour. I thought I was going to die. I had cortisone injections in my knee. My knee were like that. Well, I did it, you know. And that's what you've got to do. You can't take a little knock and say, "Man, I got to have a night off."
When it's not your fault, it's hard to go and say, let's be honest, because doctors have wrote me off now, basically. But when people see me, you know, look well, lads. Yeah, and I've got a good positive attitude to things like Ray.
And I went to see the doctors and they said, well, if you carry on like this, you're going to be crippled, which I am, now, like, you know, I could do with a knee joint in, but they tell me I've got cancer, I've got prostate cancer, you see, but I've done well with it, and I've had a lot of radiotherapy, and I don't even feel poorly, you know, I feel terrific. I'm back in gym, you know, lifting weights, things like that, and, you know, and playfully threatening people in the gym, you know, and that.
He's not in good health at all, but he won't be beat. And that's how I look at stuff. It'd be very easy to just jack it in and not train. But I have the specialists, surgeons and whatever told me, if you don't train, you're just going to end up, because you're so much muscle mass on you anyway, and so, you know, carrying sort of a lot of damage. If you don't work that damage, like arthritis and stuff, you're just going to end up, in a very short time, you're going to end up like Frankenstein's monster walking about.
I got real bad pneumonia after a lot of radiotherapy, and they said if I hadn't done all the training and been as fit and strong as what I am, I would have died. Like, you know, I was on oxygen mask for two weeks solid, you know.
So not many guys my age look like I do. 47 this year. It's still not a bad album.
Broken nose, some cuts and scratches.
Even I got a boo-boo.
Drawing pins on my back.
Yeah, that was fun picking them all out of his back.
Jimmy got it worse, and that's what
Jimmy
matters.
got it a lot worse.
Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, oh my god, like, what wrestling is really bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous, right? And I always thought, how did wrestling get from like, why is it like the norm to like try to hurt someone by putting them through a piece of furniture? It doesn't make any sense. Like, what? I don't know even why I like it. You know, like, I don't know.
Scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, he is the rock star,
I don't see myself as a veteran. I never will. I could be wrestling. There's people that have been wrestling 5 years, call themselves a veteran, and they don't know shit. And if I've been wrestling nearly 12, I'll tell you right now, I don't know shit because I've not worked for WWE. I've not worked for the biggest company in the world, and I haven't learnt anything from the biggest stars in the world. That's why I don't know shit. You know, who are we really? We haven't really made that kind of impact on anyone, really.
What do you think you need to do for that to happen?
I have to go WWE. And they told me a few years ago that, you know, you're really good, but you're a foot too short. There you go.
You know, the contract for America came through and everything, and I think it's obviously just showing them that it is a career. You can make good money out of this. And number one, I've got to sort of prove to myself that not going to university was worth it. And number two, just to give 2 fingers to my dad. You know what I mean? Because I think as a young male, that's what you're trying to do. You're always trying to compete with your father. And my dad always told me it'd never work. You never make any money out of it. So if I can be successful in wrestling and make some cash, then it proves him wrong, which should make me happy.
I wish I'd have done this differently. And now I feel like I'm nearly 30 years old and I'm like, oh, Robbie Brookside will preach to you till the cows come home about what it should be like, and like, I'd love to have the time and to be able to be in a car with him every week and just be able to have that privilege of, and he's got a training school in Leicester. You tell me what's stopping me going there, but I haven't gone, and that's my fault. Like one of his young lads, Jimmy Meadows, he's an absolute quality lad. He's just been on WWE TV the weekend. He's what, 19.
I've no doubt I won't be where I am now without Robbie. I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably still be doing the same thing, possibly worse, being in a wheelchair, whatever now. But I've been to one training school before, which weren't Robbie's, and the difference it's unbelievable. It just feels quality, just by what he's saying to you. It's hard to explain, it really is.
And I honestly wish, instead of picking up them independent tapes and oh, that's a nice move, I didn't see that on the telly before, and going in a gym and doing moves or anything like that, I wish I'd have probably knuckled down and learnt more. But maybe it's not too late for me, who knows. But these are the things, obviously, mistakes you make.
34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39.
Well, it's funny actually, because I used to have my own backyard trampoline, you know. I used to do that with my mates and it weren't very safe at all, no way. But my mum and dad didn't let me do it, full stop. From doing, because they've seen some of the stuff, you just look out the kitchen window and see me doing some of the crazy stuff, and basically said, no, you're not doing that no more. When we seen the newspaper article for the school of Robbie's, my mum and dad thought, he's not going to stop either way, you know, he's going to find a way of doing it, and this is probably the safest way of doing it, which it was, because I wouldn't advise that to anyone now, because I've hurt myself, I've nearly broke my neck before doing that, and for no money and no crowd, it's not worth it.
Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 20 times better, man. Good lad. So much better. 2.
The way I teach wrestling is the British way of doing things, the old way of doing things, is more being like an artist that's got an empty canvas, and you should be able to approach the canvas and go on it, you know, and be able to express yourself in with freedom and but most of all with technique. Obviously, you've got to be able to fight. That's the utmost importance. You've got to have physical attributes.
Get in your head like that. So you don't like that. If you'd have done that on me, if I'd have been working with you, your ass would have been all over the ring by now. You get one chance with me. It gives me the thing to give you what we call a receipt. Yeah? You wouldn't like one of my receipts. I'm not boasting or anything like that. You know, if you do that to me as someone coming in the job, first thing I'd say to you, who's taught you?
Well, in case anybody doesn't recognise me, and maybe there's somebody been sleeping under a log or a rock or doesn't watch wrestling, my name is Fit Finley. I've been wrestling 38 years.
He's a really, really nice fella. You know, when you know him and everything, he's very, very gentle. That's where people make the mistake. They familiarise themselves with that, and then all of a sudden they'll just say something or do something, and the one main thing was his last night. So everywhere at the show, I went with Finley, you know, because he was his tag partner and what. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and they've got like a couple of bars with inside the tent, and they used to sell like little miniatures of vodka and whiskey, like probably a double shot in one little bottle. And they were like obviously extortionate prices to what you buy in the shop. So this old guy came up, and I saw him a few times like that, and I could
Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch reden und verstehen. So, this guy's sort of half in English, half in German. Herr Finley, bitte, my daughter would like your autograph. I've asked you 300 times before. So Finley went, get him that box of vodka and get me that whiskey. So it must have been like, I don't know, there must have been like 200 Deutschmarks a box, 400 Deutschmarks. At the time, about 200 quid. He went like that. I never forget, it was like the next bit was like slow motion really, because he went like that, he went, her name's, say, Jessica. Really? And he just went like that. And, you know, like the Chariots of Fire music, no, 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 no. Off it went. It took about 10 minutes to hit the floor, and the fella, I could see like little twitches here like that, and Philly went, there you go. Like that, and gave me the bar. I felt like hitting him myself. I was devastated for the fella. I thought, if that was my granddad or my dad. And the fella just looked at him as, just, you know, like in a collective European dialect of why. That fella will tell that story till his grave. Finley's villain image will forever live in Hanover.
In those days, I mean, you were on television, you were a star, you were recognizable in the street, and so everywhere we went, everywhere I went, it was, you know, they would recognize you. So your life was not your own anymore, and I mean, it was a thrill, and that was my job, and then you have to accept it. You can't like get annoyed that somebody's, you know, wanting an autograph, and you know, I'm filling up petrol in my car, or you know, in a restaurant. You can't go, I'm only a wrestler 10 minutes a day. No, you're not. You're a TV personality 24 hours a day, and you got to accept that. That's the job you picked, or that's the job you've been thrown into or eased into, and you got to take that as part of it.
Well, I just like the look of him. When I met, because he was really, he's very quite gentleman, he's quite shy, and originally when I met him he was, and then he came out and he was a heel, and he did the anarchist gimmick back then. It was all black leather waistcoat and all that. I liked the contrast, so I liked that. Just thought he was attractive, he was really nice.
Doug knows all the stuff. I mean, he's good as Doug, you know. I mean, I don't make WWE, I think. You know, I mean, they're a bit funny sometimes, you know. And he's getting a little bit older, isn't he? They don't want anybody over 30. How the fuck they hired me at 51, I don't know.
I'll probably pass the boat on WWE now, because I'm getting on for, you know, nearly 40 years old, and they're more of a youth market nowadays. But I don't know if I regret it or not. I mean, when I started wrestling, my sole goal was really Japan, because that's the kind of style I like to watch, you know, and I did that. I've done some American wrestling and I know what that's like, so it's only the money I'd regret, really, for going there, I think. I wouldn't like the fame at all, God.
I was on the road a lot. Later on, sort of, when it really took off, and there was obviously tours of Japan were a month, and he would go basically from September to the March. So basically between that time, he'd maybe be home sometimes just for a week or two here and there. So there'd be the winter months, I wouldn't see a lot of him. He'd come home for Christmas and stuff. Miss my birthday, usually most of the time. And then TNA, obviously when he started with them, there would be 6-week tours here and there, so he'd be away. When we're still based in the UK, he'd be away for tours. So it does take a bit of a hit to seeing each other. There's been a lot of time apart.
I know we chose this job and everybody has, but you know, being on the road every day of the week, maybe getting 2 or 3 days off at Christmas and going back on the road again, and you know, missing birthdays and anniversaries and you know, birth of your children, you know, that's the sort of thing that was happening, you know.
I'm not as close to my family, as my immediate family, as I'd like to be. My sister and my brothers, you know, my dad and mum. I probably don't spend, or haven't spent as much time with them as I'd liked, but you know, it's a consequence of being so busy, I guess, and travelling a lot. But you know, maybe that is the one thing that I could have improved on from a personal point of view.
If we had to step back and we need to prioritise and take care of our relationships, our parents, our wives. I think a lot of marriages might have been more successful or happier But that was the choice people made. Was like, no, I gotta go. Well, when you get to my stage in the wrestling business, 38 years in, and then you look back and you go, well, it still would have been there if I'd have taken that week off and gone back. It really would, But the passion was so great at that time, and the priority of being a professional wrestler and getting to the job, and you go, I will never miss a job, and I'll be there.
Oh yeah, I think it ruined my first relationship. I was with a girl for like 3 years, and I was really in love with her, but I think I let myself. I sort of thought I felt into a little bit of a trap at the point because I was young, a bit naive. I became like a bit more of a wrestler than a normal human being. Fell into the wrestler bubble, and so I used to treat her like crap and everything, And and I think had I not been a wrestler, I'd probably still be with her now, So, but I think it didn't tell me I'm a nasty person, but that was my priority, and I was in a bit of a bubble of wrestling, and it kind of made me neglect her and treat her like crap, and I didn't really realise how much she meant to me till like it was over as well, and I was kind of like, oh shit, what have I done?
By that point, I finished and I'm back and I'm buzzing. I've had, I know I've got those people literally in the palm of my hand, and I'm taking them on a roller coaster. So you feel that, and then you finish up at 11 o'clock, and you've gone from all that to nothing. So you go to a club, and you have a drink. Then there's the girls. Then there's going back to the hotel. It was a life. Like it was a lot. I mean, it's ruined me in a lot of ways. It's to adjust to just being a normal guy.
I learned a lot from the experience as well from breaking up with her. So it made me grow up a lot more as well. And I thought, stopped and looked at myself. Well, okay, stop being such a wrestler and be be a man and be a human being. And so that's like my priority now. Like, don't be like, wrestling's great and everything, but I still have like everything else.
There was a couple of relationships that if I could go back in a time machine, not that I would just make right what I did wrong, and that hurts a little bit when I think about it. You can't go back though, can you? Until Jules Verne comes out of his grave and invents one.
Well, you're never at home. I mean, I've been in Germany 6 months a year, and then when I got back here, I'd be on road 5 nights a week, or sometimes 6. And it's always weekends. If you want to take your wife out, you can't. You know what I mean? And then they fuck off and leave you, you know what I mean? And you're on your own, you know what I mean? Anyway, I just went to America, I didn't give a shit.
Sometimes you go to these glamorous places and you fall in love with the place rather than the person, and your head goes. You ever saw Father Ted when he's got the dreams and reality, and you do the Dougal thing and you end up with, Balamory City.
And we're going backwards and forward to India and Middle East, God, every month. I'd be there 2 weeks, I'd come home for like 3 or 4 days, and I'd go again. And one time I just went, the fella rung me up and said, look, I need you in India next week, again. I said, I'm not going. I've had it. I've been travelling for 6 months. I think I've been 12 times, 6 months, to India. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, I've had enough. You know what I mean? I mean, you still need the money, but I've had enough.
For him coming back, he wanted me around there all the time, but obviously I'm trying to keep down a job as well. So there'd be a bit of a clash there. Sometimes it'd be hard. You're trying to juggle it. You're really trying to juggle round it. I mean, it's not easy. I don't think anybody that has a relationship that spend a lot of time apart, it's not easy.
And they're away from their homes sometimes, say 320 days out of a year, and they get 1 day off and they can go home. So they can't really go home on that day off, can they? So get prepared to live out of a suitcase.
I mean, we were on the road all our lives touring, not just this little glimpse in the ring. I was probably with the wrestlers more than I was ever with my wife or my kids, so it was just a lifestyle, and it still is. It's without doubt a really bad disease. When you got the wrestling bug, it's a lifetime thing. Don't ever try and leave it because it stays with you. You can't leave it.
Sometimes I've got a love-hate relationship with wrestling because it has. If I look back and we've had nearly 16 years together, if you want to write down the amount of hours really that we've been together, it would be, I don't even know if it would be half. Would it be half? Maybe. 3/4 of the marriage maybe he's been away, but that's just the way it is. But I understand. I've always supported him, and I don't, I deal with it.
A lot of my personal life, like family and not seeing them and what have you, and yeah, I probably made probably sacrifice more than I should, you know, just in the pursuit of something. If you're so focused on something, that other things fall by the wayside, unfortunately. But I guess sometimes that's what makes you succeed at something and fail in other circumstances, you know.
In reality, I think we all had our priorities mixed up. You know, I think we got caught up in the thrill of it, caught up in the excitement and the glory.
It's never been a normal, you know, run-of-the-mill marriage when you're both doing the 9 to 5 and you're home together in the evenings and you've got the weekends together and you go shopping and all that and do all the normal stuff and go to the cinema at the weekend and see all your friends. It's not been like that. It's been a very kind of, not abnormal, but it's been a different kind of lifestyle that we've had. But it's not been all bad, it's been good. There's been a lot of good stuff, and I get to travel with him a lot. I mean, I've been to Japan twice, and lots of time in America, Europe, all over the British Isles, Ireland, you know. I get to go with him when it's, you know, when we can do it, and I've got the free time as well. He always takes me with him.
Me and Doug started at the same wrestling school on the same day. And Claire, Doug's wife, also started at that school. So we all sort of came up training together. And in January last year, I stood with Claire while Doug was wrestling Ric Flair in the ring at Wembley. And we shared a real moment where we were like, you know, how crazy is this?
And Alex said, it's quite emotional because we've known each other since it was 1996 that I met the guys, Alex and Doug and all that at the show. And to see Doug go now and the change in the years that have gone past, and then to see him wrestling Ric Flair, who he'd always admired, and Alex and I, we just looked at each other and thought, this is like amazing what the years can, you know, what you can achieve in that time.
And I think that's what life's about. It's about taking a moment just to appreciate the beauty of the stuff that's going on around you.
You have to look at yourself in the mirror and believe. End of, you know, you just, even when everyone, I mean, when your mother and father are giving you, as we used to say, down the banks, when you're given that type of or lack of encouragement, I think you've got to, I say to them, you know, we've got a school in the morning and some of the kids get on the mat and I say to them, if you don't believe in yourself, how do you want me to believe in you? You have to have self-belief. It doesn't come easy, you know, especially when you get it knocked out of you. It's like, self-belief, bang, out it comes. Self-belief, bang. Like the mice on the mouse organ and Bagpuss or something like that. But it really is like that. And sometimes in my life, I've stood backstage ready to go on. And I have a little flashback to when I was a kid. When I went to the welfare officer, job officer, whatever you call him, he laughed at me. He laughed at me when I said I want to be a wrestler. He said, get down off the clouds.
When I was growing up, even as a teenager, nobody thought I could be a wrestler. Do you know what I mean? No one thought, you know, I could do any of it, but I stayed at it, you know, and I was too small, so I started training, you know, people are just scared to commit to things, I think. Like, I've always committed to it, and nothing in this life comes handed to you on a plate, nothing at all, unless you're very fortunate, but wrestling certainly doesn't, you know.
Wrestling's my life. Wrestling's who I am. And it is how I pay my bills. It's something I love. It's something I put my whole life into. I mean, this has been a 38-year career. And not a lot of people have careers that long in anything really. And I would probably have a gold watch by now and another thing, but what good's a gold watch?
To me, it's a life, and it has been a life. You know, 30 years has been a life. You know, it's longer than a murder sentence.
Fucking brilliant life. I've been doing it 36 years.
I don't know what I could have missed out on, because everything I've already gone through in this business has just been the most fantastic experience. And I can't believe 30 years have just gone like that. You know, it's, when you start to break down those years, you break down into tens of years. You think, oh my God, you know, where has all that time gone? Where's the 16-year-old wonder boy that used to be, you know? When I take a shave in the morning, I think, oh my God, it's like 30 years I've been a pro. That's a lifetime, you know, and perhaps I might still be one for another 10, 20 years, who knows?
What is wrestling? Wrestling's a metaphor for life, for me. If it's for me, what is wrestling? It's a metaphor for life. Everything I need to understand about people and I need to understand about life, I can probably understand better by knowing wrestling.
It means it's kind of like my history. It means I can show off, which is like I like to do that.
I always thought that I'd either be a boxer, a wrestler, or a musician. I always thought I'd be something in the limelight, because that was what I always loved, being like the class clown. Even when I was fighting in school, I always had attention of everyone. If I swore at a teacher, there was 5 or 6 kids looking at me and cheering me on, so I loved it.
Maybe it keeps me sane or makes me go crazy. It's one of those two, but maybe I'm not sure yet.
I don't want to be cliche or, just quote WWE guys from the documentaries or whatever, but it is something that defines me. Like, where I'm from, I'm the wrestler, because it's such a small town. I'm the wrestler, so it is a part of me now. And obviously I love it the best. I don't know what the hell I'd be doing if I didn't do it. I don't know what the hell, I don't even want to think about it, to be honest.
Matthew's had to work hard at this, really hard. He's had no help from nobody but himself. So, I'm a single parent with Matt. I couldn't help him. He's done it all himself. It's been the making of Matt. So I'm quite proud of him, really. Although we don't get on that well, do we, Matt?
No.
Wrestling means everything to me. It's the best job in the world. It really is, because every day is different. Every day is fun. Every day is a different road journey. Anything can happen. It's spontaneous, just everything. It's what I enjoy. I don't enjoy a 9 to 5, sadly, but that's not me as a person.
When you've got a heavy schedule, you're working like 350 days of the year. When you're giving up your life that many days of your life, that's when you think, yeah, you got to, is it worth it, is it not?
It's been everything. It's been hell, it's been heaven, it's been hard. But as I say, I would never go back and exchange it or swap it for anything. I'm proud of the way I've done it and how I've done it, and I can hold my head up, and the happy times you get one happy time, it cancels 20 bad times in this job, and that's what it's been like for me.
I don't think I ever will, and that's why I'll keep coming back, because I won't ever be satisfied with myself, I think, and that's what will keep me going. That's what the dream is. A dream, you fall asleep and dream that it's going to happen. You wake up, it hasn't happened, so I'm going to keep dreaming the way it is.